working on your family tree summative. I'm not going to go over the details in regards to the 3, 4, or 5 in terms of my grading expectations, but I do want to talk about just the 2 steps that you're going to be using to create 5 family trees or pedigrees looking at traits. So the first step is making sure that you have an established family tree that shows first, second, and third generation individuals that are biological female or circles or males squares. And in this family tree, you're just going to have the initials of the individuals. If you have more than one person sharing the same initials, you could always do QR.S if R is the second letter of the person's name. And once you have that family tree established, you're going to save and close, and you will copy and paste it 5 times. And you're going to be formatting it in a way that looks like this. So if I was doing my first family tree for attached earlobes, I would be taking this family tree, pasting it down here, and then modifying it in a couple ways. The first thing that I'm going to be doing in my modifications is I'm going to be showing individuals that express the trait and shade it in a dark color, black or dark gray, dark blue. I'll let you choose that trait. Within your family tree, you're going to have a key that specifies color and what that means in terms of phenotype and genotype. So for example, if I'm doing attached or unattached earlobes, attached earlobes is a homozygous recessive trait, a, which means any individual that shows that trait will also have to have a a genotype. Big A, or big A, homozygous or heterozygous dominant, show unattached earlobes. Because I have in my family tree 2 individuals, male and female, having attached earlobes, and their parents don't express the trait, they must both be carriers. So you're going to do that with your family trees. You'll copy and paste this 5 times and fill it out for 5 different traits. Below each of your family trees, you're going to want to have a table that starts off with this: dominant, recessive, heterozygous dominant. If you're doing a polygenic trait, this would be individual phenotypes like brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. And then the genotype: big A, little a, big A. Again, this would be different for polygenic traits. And then the phenotype. If you do 5 family trees that look like this, with this part of the table filled out, you're demonstrating a 3. Now to get a 4, you're going to want to answer some of these questions for each specific trait. Now there are 3 questions that correspond with each of the traits that you are going to be doing. The first is all about fitness. So a good thing to think about with fitness is ability to survive and have offspring. So you're really going to have to answer within a couple sentences that are fact-based and evidence-based whether or not there's a difference in the level of fitness between individuals with dominant or recessive alleles. This is a good example where we talked about pale and dark skin having different levels of fitness depending on latitude, where you are in relationship to how much sun you get. Another question that you could answer is, what is the DNA basis for different alleles? So this is where you could talk about mutations in genes such as RBC sickle cell. Remember, we have a missense mutation that creates a hydrophobic amino acid. That's the basis for sickle cell anemia. You can go even further by thinking about how this might impact either the expression, the quality, or the function of the protein. So I could talk about how red blood cells in sickle cell tend to clot more and hold less oxygen. And the last thing that you can consider, which goes back to our feedback loops in our last unit dealing with cells, is what cells or tissues express or regulate this gene or trait. So if I was thinking about attached or unattached earlobes. I might be talking about muscle cells in the ears that either express or under-express tissue development. You do not need to answer each of these questions for each trait if you are going for the 4, but if you're going for the 5, I do expect that you answer most of the questions for each of your traits. You don't need to write a lot, but I expect that if you use resources, you link the links or the URLs below, and you might even use images, but practicing the vocabulary and the ideas of this unit are important. So again, in a nutshell, create a family tree, model the genotype and phenotype of that trait with your family, and then write either the genotypes and phenotypes below and answer some questions as well. I hope this was helpful. Please come see me in Flex if you have questions or you need assistance. Have a great day, and I look forward to reading these.